You've always just seemed inspired all the time. Have you ever had an uninspired practice?
Plenty of uninspired practices. Yeah, I think in any sport, other people can get you down. And when you're working your butt off and somebody's not working as hard as you, that's pretty uninspiring. I feel like I've had plenty of those practices over the years. And so you can get uninspired practices. When you go out and play well and everything feels right, I'm talking about like energy. When you have this energy out there in the game where every point is going your way, you just feel it. When you're hitting the lines, when you're chiseling the block, when you're stabbing ball, sticking your arm out and got some dig that nobody thinks you would come out with, that's pretty inspiring to me. And that's just an energy that you create on the court with positive energy by yourself and your partner. And I talk a lot about with my partners, we'll be losing and that'll be happening to us where guys are hitting 4 or 5 lines and it feels like, oh man, they're getting so lucky. And I tell my partner, hey, we just got to turn the energy around. We make 1 or 2 plays and the energy is ours and those things start happening to us. So I think an inspired game is all about positive energy. You keep your head up. So we go into that game 3, we're down 11-7. Sean goes up, gets blocked 12-7. He turns around, he puts his head down. You can see it, just devastated. Here we go again, we've lost. And I said, hey, I pointed at him, I said, Sean, I don't want to see that, pick your head up. And he said, yeah, you're right. We turned around from 12-7 in the third, down again 14-11 in the third, and we came back and won that game against the number 1 team, one of the most dominating teams of all time. And that's my favorite example of keeping your head up, positive energy. And we did it as a team.
Training and games, the emotions are a little bit different. Training, you're working. In games, you have to be kind of open to the unknown, but how do you manage your emotion, I guess, is the question.
Well, I think if you put it into your practices, you're always putting something on the line, whether you're playing for lunch against people or you always want tight games, and so when you run game-like situations, you should be playing close matches or close games with people. Always have something on the line, whether it's, all right, losers shag balls, losers owe lunch, losers do this, losers do that. That inspires you to win, and that creates, okay, now it's match point. If they put this away, we lose, I got to do all this stuff. Well, it's the same in a game to a different level. So I don't think you can actually create that in a practice because game emotions are quite different.
Right.
You have a lot more on the line, but to an extent you can. Well, I think I'm more inspired for me outside of volleyball with my family. Volleyball has been huge for me because it's given me more time than most people to spend with their families. My favorite thing to do is hang out with my wife, my kids. I start coaching now and I miss my kids when they get home from school. I'm leaving. So that's something I got to get through because for years and years, I was able to pick them up from school, drop them off at school, and do all this stuff with my family. So I think they inspire me. They love being at the tournaments. Unfortunately, they don't get to go as much these days, but that always inspired me. Them being at the tournaments, them cheering for me. My son gets so mad if I lose. We won't get into that. He'll break things, but I'm just inspired from my family, and I think I bring that to the court. I can handle it a lot. Like I just go, all right, here we go, and I stand there until they're ready. And I know people do it on purpose, so it's something you just have to deal with. But I just get ready, thinking about, like I said, you're thinking about what were the last couple plays, what do these guys want to do against us, and what do we want to do against them? So I take that time.
Cool.
For me, I want to get on the ball. If we had a long rally, I grab the ball, it's my turn to serve, and I'm standing there, and I'm ready to go. And then once they blow the whistle, if you get that quick serve, you can get a quick point because they're still really not ready to go, Well, I'm not sure there are many secrets anymore. My trainer, who is my secret weapon, is now the secret weapon of a few other people. I think he has like 4 or 5, he's probably had 5 or 6 other volleyball players up there now, whether girls or guys. But, he came down when I first met him, didn't know anything about volleyball. He said, all right, what time's your practice and where? And he showed up there and he just took notes on all the movements we made, how we move, how much stuff we do. One of the first things he said to me was like, why do you weigh so much? Why do you have so much muscle on you? There's no reason for this. You play volleyball and that sand is tough to move in,
Sure.
So we got the weight there. Another thing was creating a program with much more focus on lunging forward, backwards, sides, because that's all you do in volleyball is lunge somewhere. Every single play you're probably lunging 25 times. So he created stuff where it's a lot of one-legged type lunges, movements, and stuff. So that's one of the things he kind of created. He also has had me doing a lot of band work from the beginning of time, which was well before anybody else was using bands. Easier on the joints, tendons. And then, I never throw anything on my back. I use dumbbells. So basically he created something that as I've gotten older, that stuff didn't crush me down in my prime. So I'm able to still go longer and longer, creating a program with more reps, less weight, and getting the same results. Like I do on offense, kind of the flow sets. I call it half flow between each other. So I'm passing this ball over to you instead of just straight up. You're setting it back out to me, stuff like that. I think you have these young kids and they're just learning that. You're creating some flow on the court for them, and they walk out of practice going, wow, that was really fun. That was really cool. And nobody else is doing it. So I think some of my kids, take this and develop it and get better and better. And when they walk off the court, they're like, wow, that, it's really cool to be doing this type of stuff instead of just pass, set, hit. I do get inspired when the fans come up to me, or, they're on social media and they're like, how do you do it? I don't get it. I'm 2 years younger than you, 3 years younger than you, and I can barely do this or barely do that anymore. And this hurts and that. So when they come up to me, I think that's pretty inspiring, and that, like I said, that's kind of when I get more and more of those people telling me that, I feel like, all right, I got to do more. I got to play another year. I got to play longer. I got to show them. And, a lot of people want to get out. They're like, oh, seeing you play, I want to get out more. And I'm only 44 and I, thought I was done. So I think that's pretty inspiring.
Can you share the biggest challenge you've been through on your journey?
Oh, geez. Biggest challenge. I think all my injuries. I've had plenty of injuries. And I'm going through them right now too. But my whole life, my whole career, I've had injuries. I mean, there's a time in college, 3 years in a row, I sprained or broke my foot or ankle 3 years in a row in the same week in April, and missed the last 2 weeks of season. So I'm going into the end of season, getting ready for, playoffs, and I break my ankle or I break my foot, and then I sprain my ankle the next year. And it's all in the same week. I mean, huge setbacks, super disappointing. Like, here we go again. I have to start all this rehab over, shoulder surgery, 2 shoulder surgeries, had to start over, back injuries. Oh my God, here we go again. I think you have to take each one of those as a learning lesson. And when it is a setback, you take one step back, but you got to move 2 steps forward from that setback. And it's mentally draining. It's mentally tough, especially when you've been through it so many times over and over, and you're like, here we go again, rehab. I've been doing it the last 2 weeks, same rehab stuff over and over and over again. And if you can't do that, then you're never going to get back or be better than you were. So I think those are really difficult. The reason why I play volleyball is to win, and have that feeling after you win. And You, again, you work so hard at something. I found this out long ago, and my trainer says it all the time. I got a quote from a movie that I told him, and now he says it all the time. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the juice, if you're working your ass off and then you get injured and you got to work your ass off some more, and the pain you go through and the sweat and getting up early in the morning and being beat up, is that juice worth the squeeze, the win? And it is all the time.